Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Bakemonogatari. We are watching episode 10, part 2 of Nadeko's Snake. Man, it's rough with this being a 2-episode arc. I talked about this a lot in the last discussion, but I don't know. I don't know how they're going to wrap this up in only 2 episodes, but I guess we'll see. I don't know. Listen to the last discussion, as always, if you want to hear all my thoughts. I'm not just going to go over everything again. So, yeah, we're starting episode 10 of Bakemonogatari. There's a Patreon in the description if you want the reaction with the picture and everything. Otherwise, it has to be edited out for YouTube. You can line up your own copy if you want to watch it along with me. Otherwise, we'll be starting here in 3, 2, 1. Shagiri Nawa. Hmm. Kuchinawa. Okay. A representation of ill will. Hmm. There was a curse cast upon her. Pretty popular. That's kind of dangerous for a middle school. Hmm. She certainly does have something going on regarding to romance, other than what he's explaining right now. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. I don't know if I buy this explanation. Not that I don't buy. I'm sure this is the explanation in universe. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. God, I don't want to talk over Renai circulation now. Like, come on. I can't do that. I can't believe it. So this opening is this popular, and it only plays in 2 episodes? That's crazy. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's a really good opening, that's for sure. Um, hmm. Well, I just want to sit here in silence, so I'm going to talk. So it is interesting. If this explanation is to be believed, that this aberration, the Jagiri Nawa, is only attacking her, it's only afflicting her, it's a curse, right? That was cast on her entirely of nothing of her own fault, right? It even flashed on screen. It said like unjustified grudge. Something that doesn't even. This would be the first time there's been an aberration that just attacks someone or is afflicting someone for something that apparently has nothing to do with their own emotions or their own, anything. It's just a curse that was put on her that, which is interesting. Man, it really goes along with what I was saying last time about how it's like her issue is like being hidden from us, Because even this opening, it's just like what I was saying last time, how this opening, unlike all of the other ones, doesn't give us anything about what her actual problem is. And apparently, the underlying emotional issue that should be causing this aberration just doesn't exist. Unlike the previous aberrations that have had very explicit um, ties to an emotional issue that a character is going through. Apparently in this one, it's just no, she's just the victim of a curse and that's it. Which I don't really buy it. Um, in terms of like her character, I know there has to be something more going on, right? But I think that's the point. Girl, you need to put some clothes on. Okay. Hmm. Aragi, come on. Gotta do it right now, huh? Okay. Hmm. Hmm. That was an interesting shot. I really have some thoughts, that's for sure. And I don't know. Hmm. Anyway, her life's in danger. I don't want to ignore that line. Apparently, it's very important that they do it tonight. Okay, so it's like an invisible snake constricting her? Hmm. I'm sure she is. Mm-hmm. She's just hiding it, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yeah, Oshina said she was unlucky. Is it because of the thing she was doing, the killing the snakes? Did she just make it worse, you know? Hmm. Okay. Before Shinobu came, the noble blood of a legendary vampire. Okay. Interesting. That's a bunch of new info. Oh, okay. So, hmm. So, yeah, she did it to herself, basically. I mean, not basically. It's literally, you know. Hmm. Okay. This is kind of the most urgent one, huh? She's gonna die if they don't fix it immediately. Hmm. I wonder what her response will be. She tries to hide it so much, right? Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Hmm. That yeah, that does seem to be her issue, right? Is not showing her problems here, you know? I think you could apply this to several things about her. Also, Cumber, shut up. And I also think it's interesting every time Aragi gives advice to a character like this. There's been like one line in every arc where he's given this kind of vague like life advice to the girl of the arc. And I feel like it's something he always needs to hear as well. And it's interesting that he is the one giving the advice to someone else each time, when I don't know if he's applying it to himself entirely. Anyway, yeah, this makes sense. Hmm. I'm just thinking about her having done this to herself, basically. Um, yeah, it makes sense in the way of like, you know, she has been hiding her problem from everyone in multiple ways. Well, I think, you know, oh God, there's, I'll have to talk about it in the discussion. I'm thinking about so much stuff. Mm-hmm. Which is the other thing I'm thinking about, right? His flashlight's bigger than hers. It's interesting. Hmm. Hmm. Kind of sad when he doesn't even remember. Another thing Aragi's gonna feel bad for. Oh, okay. Hmm. Man, this is very interesting. Her Nadeko as a character is very interesting to me. Man, I wonder what it is that makes it so Kombaru gets affected by this. Because it seems like Nadeko is not affected by it. Aragi's not affected by it. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Kombaru. Mm-hmm. Hmm. I can't help but point out that all of this has kind of worked out pretty well for Nadeko, hasn't it? If she wanted attention from Aragi in some way, this has worked out pretty well for her. Because she, and she did it to herself. Now, I don't want to say that she's like doing this on purpose to get Aragi to help her or something, right? Um, because there's no way she would have known Aragi was going to be the one to help her. I just think it is interesting to, because like obviously, for her, she might not be thinking about that. It's obviously something the author thought about, right? So I can't help but think it means something. Hmm. Does she have some specific reason to be so fixated on Aragi? Hmm. Interesting. Hmm. Well, it's working. And this would be, if this works, this is the first time that an aberration problem has been like dealt with um in a way that really has nothing to do with the character's emotional issues. you know? Whatever you want to say is her emotional issue here. It's like this aberration almost has nothing to do with it other than being similar in debt again. I feel like he's so much in debt to Oshino he could never pay it back. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that what the seal was for? Spiritual World War. Interesting. Oh, not sure if it's working fully. She seems to be struggling. That's cool, that shot through the tree. It was like an eye. Mm-hmm. Is you're a vampire, I suppose, right? Hmm. Interesting. The hmm. Okay. Oh, I will think about it, Oshino. Ooh. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very much so. He can't help it. Hanakawa forgot everything. Okay. I feel like that hasn't really been explicitly stated before. Okay. A little bit. Mm-hmm. 1/10. It's very specific. What? He can turn back? Okay. He can turn back into a human if he abandons Shinobu. Oh, God. Well, this is not going well. We might have to touch it. Despite Oshino's warnings. Snake. Oh, God. Hmm. Hmm. There were two. God, I have so many thoughts about that. About there being two snakes. I'm gonna have to talk about this on the discussion so much. It's very much related to her hiding her problems from people. Come on, we gotta do something. So what, is he saying two people cursed her? Is that what Oshino meant when he said she was unlucky? But why wouldn't Oshino just say then that there were two, if that's what Oshino meant? Oh, God. Oh, wow. Okay. It's very sharp scales, I guess. That's gonna attack him, right? Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. Oh. Hmm. Oh my God, his foot is so messed up. Oh, whoa. Oh my God. What do you even do? I mean, how do you... I mean, if it's just attacking him now, can't he just, like, run away? Oh. Oof. Oof. Hope it's... Your regeneration works against the poison. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting line. Oh, yeah, they did say that. Aragi can't handle that either, can he? Oh, he has to try and save everyone. Off it goes. Well, rest in peace, some kid, I guess. I mean, what, it just gonna go back to that kid and kill him? I mean, yeah, no, this is gonna feel awful for Aragi. I mean, just, yeah, things haven't been going well for him, in his mind, have they? Especially not this. This might be the worst one. Hmm. Man, I feel like this episode has some of the most thematic depth to it, and I don't know how much I'll be able to. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. He can never, yeah, he can never accept gratitude no matter what. I mean, yeah, even without having done that, he would have some excuse for why he couldn't accept it. Oh, that's the end. Man, I feel like I'm gonna have a lot to say about this episode, but I don't know. We'll see. That. Hmm. Yeah, Nadeko is a very interesting character. Huh. Yeah. No. There was just like it was almost every line in the entire episode. I feel like has a much deeper meaning to it than like the surface level, like what's actually happening, you know? And it's like, hmm, yeah. Because I'll talk about it in discussion. I don't want to talk about it here. I feel like people will skip this. Man. I feel like I was talking too much during that episode. Maybe not. I hope people won't be annoyed. I don't think I really missed anything, so. It's very cute. All right, let's listen to some rambling. Oh, shit. Their true identities. Mm-hmm. Big. Oh, so they're quite a bit younger than Aragi. Oh, okay, of course. To cover their secret identities. Thank you. No quiz that time? Come on. I can't even tell. They're good at that. I don't know. All right. I'll see you guys in the discussion. All right, guys. Let's go through the episode. This might be a rough one. I don't know. Since this was like actually the most like thematically, I don't know, deep, like dense episode, I feel like, or at least there's the most layers of like uh I don't even know. I don't even know how to word it. Just so like the first thing is this arc on the very surface level on the face of it. You can view this arc as like the most like nothing happens arc. You know, you could easily view Nadeko as this character that's super boring and has nothing going on. Um and you can view this arc as just the most boring one where like nothing happens, you know, because there is no, unlike the previous arcs, there isn't an explicit like emotional underlying issue that has to be dealt with through the resolution of the aberration problem. That's how all the other arcs have been. This arc, if you just look at the super surface level, you could say, oh, it's this stupid little girl who needs help and Aragi helps her, and that's it. But the interesting thing there is that's like the point for it to seem like that on the surface, right? Because just because that is the underlying emotional issue that Nadeko has, right? Like this conversation that they have right here, um, where they're talking about how Nadeko is holding in her pain and not showing it to anyone, right? She's not showing her problems to anyone. Through that, you know, that is also what is happening in this arc, is we aren't getting to see Nautico's actual issues or know anything about them. Um, there was no resolution for anything about her emotionally in this arc. There was nothing. We got almost no information about her or her mental state or anything compared to the other characters where, literally the other characters, Senjugahara, Hajikuji, Kanbaru, we've had a scene where they sit us down and those characters monologue to us about what their problem is. With Nautiko, it has not been that at all. We have gotten zero info about her. And that's the point, right? That's what that is her issue. The fact that we didn't get that is the problem that she has, right? And basically this scene where they're talking about her holding in the pain, not showing it to anyone, is explicitly this is basically those monologue scenes where they tell us the issue that the character's having. That's pretty much what this scene is. But in this case, it's telling us that the problem is that she won't tell anyone what her problem is. And through that, it's like her having this unrequited like crush on Aragi, not telling him about it, being really, that obviously plays in. I mean, that obviously that's just like the same thing, right? It's the same thing as what she's doing with this. Um, and yeah, and it makes sense why this opening. I mean, I talked about the opening a ton in the last discussion, right? But it makes sense why the opening is like this, right? The opening does the same thing. It hides from us what her actual issue could be, what her actual underlying emotional issue could be, and it's just this cutesy thing of nothingness, right? Like I love this opening. Who doesn't love Renai circulation, right? But compared to the other openings, which are very explicitly related to the arc in question, and they show you what's going to happen pretty much, this arc doesn't do that at all. There's no like, yeah. So I don't know. I think that is very cool. Yeah, it's very interesting. And it's like, hmm, yeah, I don't know. It's just really cool. Like Nadeko, the aberration that is affecting her being a snake is also something I've thought about a lot about how the previous characters, the previous aberrations we've dealt with haven't been anything as like seemingly intimidating as a snake. And I feel like you can get a lot of literary meaning from what could be represented by a snake, right? You can think of a lot of different things that a snake could represent, right? Um, I guess so far I don't really know which one of those meanings you could take from it that it could be. Conbrew saying that line about how snakes are cowardly. Um, I feel like that is obviously in reference to, Nautico's issue of not telling anyone about her problems, of hiding everything away. Um, because again, I talked about this last time. She wears long baggy clothes to cover up the snake stuff all over her so no one can see it, right? Just like how her emotional issue is being hidden from us, the audience, at the same time, you know? It's very interesting. And then her having two snakes, right? So Araragi says this about how there's two snakes. If they could just see them from the beginning, um, it would have been obvious, right? Yeah, if we could see the Jagiri Nawa from the beginning, it would have been completely obvious that there's actually two snakes, right? You can take a lot of meaning from this. You can like so one thing you can take from this is Nadeko hiding her problems from other people in a way, right? That's obviously, the snakes are invisible either way. They couldn't see them, right? But let's just say they can't see them the same way they can't see Nadeko's emotional turmoil, whatever her problem is, which frankly we literally don't know, right? The All we have seen from the story is that she has this crush on Aragi, which you could say is, kind of problematic in some way, but like beyond her just having this little unrequited crush on Aragi, we don't really know anything other than that. The other issue you could just say is her not telling us about her issues, but that's kind of a cop out. We don't know what the actual issues are in the first place, right? So them saying, oh, if we could just see the Jagiri Nawa, if we could see what Nadeko's issues were without her hiding them from us, it would have been completely obvious. And it's like the second snake, you could say, is a representation of whatever these other issues are that she has that aren't being shown to us, the viewer. Um, it's like someone could watch this arc and decide, oh, Nadeko's so boring. There's nothing going on with this character, blah, blah, blah. But the second snake is a representation of the fact that there is more to the situation than it seems like. Just like Aragi says here, if you could see what Nadeko's issues were, if she wasn't hiding them, it would be obvious. Whatever her issues are, right? We don't know her issues. They're being hidden from us. There's two snakes. So there was more than meets the eye in this situation for Nadeko as a character, right? That's what I get from this. Um, and then just the actual the mechanics of the snakes in universe. It's like um, she doesn't tell she it's a problem that she's hiding from other people, and that ends up hurting other people, right? Sure, I mean that's a pretty surface level thing to mention, but I mean makes sense to me, right? She ends up causing more harm to other people. For one, like having waited this long, I'm sure if she actually, because actually her first issue, her first when she realized she was cursed, which who knows how, we don't know how this weird curse works, which Oshino said she was, cursed by her classmate. Um, she was cursed by her classmate, which is a common curse among middle schoolers, which I have no idea what that means. But she was cursed by her classmate, and her immediate response to that, to try and fix it, is to do this weird curse lifting thing from a book. I can't find the line. It was to do this weird curse lifting thing from a book instead of try and seek help of any kind. I feel like that's just makes sense. I don't know, makes sense to me in terms of what we know about her as a character. Like literally, what does this mean? It's a well-known curse among middle schoolers. I don't know. And I guess like the reasoning behind her being cursed in the first place, and this aberration being, afflicting her, being such a mundane and petty reason, right? It's like it's pointing out that there has to be more to the story than just that. Not more to the story as in there's actually a different reason why the aberration is attacking her here, but more to the story as in there's more to Nadeko than meets the eye, right? Um, because yeah, I mean that there's no way the actual, there's no way you can read this and be like, oh yeah, this has to be the full story. Is that there's this stupid, romantic issue among nameless characters off screen, and that's the entire cause of this aberration. When every other aberration in the story so far has been related to deep emotional issues for the character. And I think the thing about Nadeko having done this to herself in a way, right? Because Oshino says she got unlucky because, her trying to undo the curse is what caused it to actually like activate, I guess, and have the snakes actually attack her. Um, that's something again you can certainly get meaning from. I don't really know what meaning specifically the author is trying to give me here. Um, I feel like you could just say her not seeking help from other people and hiding it from other people just made it worse. I mean that's a very uh, again that's a very surface level analysis of it, right? I feel like there has to be more to it than that. Um, it is. I'll come back and read these at the end. Hmm. It's very interesting. So another thing I wanted to talk about. I'm just gonna kind of try and go through the episode chronologically now. I feel like this is already super unorganized. I'm sorry. Whatever. Um. So one thing well, I can't really decide if this was actually something I wanted to talk about or not. I think it is interesting how Nadeko is still not wearing her clothes when Araragi shows up. Um, because I think it shows how she is obviously not like completely clueless about sexual stuff, right? I mean, she's in middle school. She can't, I mean, I guess I don't know how old she is exactly, but being her age, you wouldn't just be completely clueless, like she was almost pretending to be last episode. So I think it's pretty clear she knows what she's doing in terms of, she has a crush on Aragi and she's acting like this. And later too, when she's wearing the school swimsuit, and she like giggles about it. Um, so it's obvious she has like this ulterior, not this ulterior motive, I guess. Um, but this whole just acting like so aloof about it and just all like cutesy about it, it's obviously just not all that there is to her. Um, which I guess is just more, it's kind of just more of the same thing of her there being more to her. I guess. I guess I don't really know what else to say about that. And uh, hmm, I did find this scene interesting when they show her changing, which sounds weird. Um, but I think it's weird how it almost feels more uncomfortable watching this scene of her changing than it does when she's like basically naked. Um, because this scene feels like we're almost like invading her privacy in a way. Because in this scene, instead of watching it through uh like Aragi's eyes, it's like we're watching her from a hidden camera or something. And in that sense, it's interesting how she is objectively less exposed in this scene than she is earlier, right? Um, and I think that feeling is almost uh shows how the way she was acting when she was in the scene before this, right, with the bloomers on and everything and being completely topless, it shows how she was doing that. I think that it's not that she was doing it on purpose entirely, but she knows what she was doing with Aragi there. And uh I feel like that feeling like makes sense, I guess. I feel like I explained that horribly, actually. So I don't think that makes any sense. You know what? I'll just move on. I feel like everything I just said doesn't make any sense. I don't know how to explain it any better. Um, hmm. And this, oh man, uh, just everything, every single line. If it's constricting her, shouldn't Sengoku be in pain? It's like there's something causing Sengoku pain that we don't know about, that she won't tell us about. It's like the story is trying to make us think it's just her little crush on Aragi. Um, but there has to be more to it than that. So I don't know. It's almost every line in the episode that I feel like there is so much meaning to it that I just can't, since I don't know what her problem is yet. I don't know what to say about it, I guess. It's just obvious that there was more to it um than meets the eye initially. Man, and hmm. Okay, let's talk about Shinobu for a second, just for a second. So the shrine, the reason why there's bad things gathering there because of Shinobu showing up with the legendary blood of a vampire. Um, which, for one, it's weird that Araragi says that's why Kanbaru wasn't feeling well, even though Araragi and Nadeko were both unaffected by it. No idea what that's all about. I don't know why Kanbaru, because they all have aberration stuff going on, so it can't be that. It can't just be. So I don't know. I have no idea why Kanbaru would be affected by it and Araragi and Nadeko aren't. I don't know. I feel like there has to be some meaning behind that, but I don't know. Dude, there's so much to this episode that I feel like I'm missing, but I feel like that's on purpose. So, God, I don't know. Okay, we're just back to this scene now. And I said this during the episode. I feel like I was talking too much during the episode, so my bad. But Araragi says, like, he's in every arc so far, he has given these like sage words of advice to the main girl of the arc. And for one, I feel like Araragi is not in a position where he should be playing therapist with anyone. And for two, it feels like it's always things that he needs to hear that he doesn't apply to himself, right? Like he says stuff, if it hurts, it's okay to say so. Well, how about like all of the weird stuff Aragi's definitely thinking about how he I don't know, there's so much stuff, like his thoughts about his relationship with Senjugahara, his thoughts about how he feels like he never saves anyone and he always blames himself for like everything. um he holds that in similarly to just how Nadeko is doing about her problems, right? So it is interesting because I feel like there's been a line like this every time. Like in the previous arc, it was him telling Kanbaru that someone can't become someone else, that it's impossible, right? Um, I don't know how to apply that to Aragi yet, but it is interesting that he would say that, I guess. In the arc before that with Hachikuji, it was when he was like telling her off for not being with her mother on Mother's Day, telling her to practice filial piety. And it's like he was having that same issue at the same time. So it's like he always gives these words of advice to someone when it's something that he can't apply to himself. It's like, I mean, I don't think hypocritical is exactly the word for it. But it's like cognitive dissonance almost between what he thinks and what he thinks is correct and his actual actions. And yeah, just the stuff that Kanbaru says about being tied up. It's like Nadeko is tied up in herself. Does that make sense? You know what I mean, I'm sure. It's very interesting. Man. And then yeah, and then we get this scene. For one, I thought, there's two snakes here. That kind of shows. And I almost wonder, the Jugari Nawas. Wait, am I saying that right? I don't remember how to say it. How do you say it? Oh, I'm gonna say it right. Jagiri Nawa. The Jagiri Nawas are shown as white, you know. And here there's two snakes on this scene, which if we talk about what I was saying earlier about the two snakes and how it's almost representative of Nadeko there being more to her than it seems, the fact that there's two snakes. But there's the white one, right? But there's also the black one, which I feel like you could take to be like, obviously you could take this just as, oh, there's two snakes in the story, but you could also take this as, there's the white snake, but there's the black one as well. That's you could see as deeper problems that Nadeko has that are probably much worse and then the surface level, just, oh, she was cursed because of this dumb romance stuff, than the white snake that's on top. Because it's like the white snake. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's some interesting symbolism you could take from that. And then yeah, and then it's just, we bring up how she has a crush on Aragi, and that's like it. I do wonder why she is so attached to him specifically, if there was some kind of like reason, because it didn't really give us a reason. It just kind of showed us this cutesy flashback of her, you know. It just showed us this cutesy flashback of her talking to him and acting all, cute and shy, and that's it, you know? I don't know. I do wonder. Because, there has to be some deeper reason for why she would act like this in the first place. Why she would be so guarded with herself and her problems with other people. Hmm. I don't know. I really don't know. Man. And yeah, and then this is the scene I was talking about, how she, you know, is in the school swimsuit. And she giggles about it because she knows, right? She isn't as aloof and unaware of this as she was pretending to be in the previous episode when she asked Aragi what he thought about her body, you know. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and then she just thinks about the flashback that we honestly get basically no meaning from. And I'm not saying that like in an insulting way to the story. I'm saying that as in I feel like that's the point, that we get basically no meaning from it, because it's almost like this is a red herring. It's almost like uh this is not at all representative of whatever her actual problems are or anything. It's not like this in any way is resolved through the arc, her crush on Aragi. And even if it was, that has nothing to do with whatever her actual emotional problems are. So yeah, I don't know. Hmm. Okay. I feel like, do I want to say anything about this Oshino scene? I'm trying to think. Because he says, you know, operations aren't the type. He tells Aragi he's gonna leave one day. Um, which is, I feel like that's foreshadowing to him leaving one day. I know, isn't that's crazy? Um, he tells Aragi he's gonna leave one day. He says this stuff about how aberrations always have a reason, pretty much. Which they brought that up a couple times, right? Which I feel like is almost, it could be in relation to like this arc in general, and how it seems like the aberration in this arc doesn't have a reason, Um, which again is, I feel like, is the point. I feel like I've said that 50 times. Whatever. And yeah, and he kind of calls out Aragi for his helping people thing. Um, but there's not really a solution for it. Obviously, he kind of just Aragi asks him if he thinks he's immature, which I kind of agree with. It is in a way, and Aragi just says he can't be like Oshino, which is interesting. It's like I wonder if he looks up to Oshino. I feel like he must, right? And Oshino rebuts with, "You can abandon Shinobu and turn back into a human." um, which is very interesting because we haven't heard anything about that before, and it makes me wonder more how the relationship actually works, because that's just weird. What does that even mean? He can abandon Shinobu and turn back into a normal human whenever he wants. I don't know. I don't know. But for one, we know already can never do that, so don't need to worry about that. Don't want you to forget that. There's so much meaning to this line, I feel like, that we don't understand yet because we don't know the details of Aragi and Shinobu. Hmm. And then I feel like I talked about this for the most part. Um, okay. Yeah. And then it's just for Aragi. I mean, it's just kind of, I don't want to say it's more of the same, but it's just, he feels like he has failed yet again. In this case, in this one, it's probably the worst one for him because he's pretty much let some random kid die, maybe. I mean, it seems like that snake is going to go kill the kid. So that's awful. And Aragi is obviously going to blame himself for it, which, you know, is bad. Um, it's just from Aragi's point of view, it's like everything that has happened has been a failure up to this point, because yeah, I mean, it's just every arc there hasn't been an actual like solution for the problem. And this one, the problem literally wasn't even addressed. Whatever whatever Nadeko's actual problems are, literally not addressed. They were completely hidden from us on purpose. Um, and not only that, Aragi feels like he killed someone here. Um, in the previous arc, you know, Cumber's issues were not really addressed for her, at least. I mean, it didn't really, nothing really happened for her to improve her situation. I feel like she's still just as jealous of Aragi as before, and I don't really think it has improved for her. She had to give up playing basketball, and the arm isn't fixed. So that arc certainly didn't fix anything. Um, and Mayoi Snail, I mean, it's not really, that one's kind of unclear because Hajikuji is still around, right? So it's like she's still wandering around as a ghost, which I guess, I mean, what would the solution to that be? To make her not be wandering around anymore? That's kind of bad, but I don't know. But in terms of that arc, if we think about how that's the arc where Sindra and Aragi's relationship started, that's kind of like not resolved, I think, in Aragi's mind at least. And in the first arc, Sindra underlying like trauma, she got it back. But it hasn't been resolved, which would be rough to do. But, so it's like every arc has been a failure, especially from Aragi's point of view. He feels like he's done nothing, and no one's situation has really been fixed. And in this arc, it's almost the worst, because he feels like he just killed someone. And of course, he always has to come up with some reason for why he isn't the one who helped someone. But in this case, it's the worst one, where sure he helped Nadeko, but he also feels like he killed someone, and he blames himself for even trying to help that person in the first place. Which, man, rough, rough. I don't know. The only to wrap this up because I've been rambling for a long time. Aragi's well, no. So this arc, it's the first time where the character Nadeko in this case has asked Aragi for help explicitly, and Nadeko has almost put herself, no, not almost, Nadeko literally has put herself in the situation for which she needs help from Araki, right? It is her fault that she is in this situation, unknowingly or not. I'm sure she wouldn't have done this on purpose, right? But knowingly or not, she is the reason why she needs help in the first place, and she asks Aragi for help, which is just very different than all of the previous arcs where the characters have been actively pushing Aragi away from helping them the whole time. Um, so I guess I don't really know where that goes from there. It's just a very interesting, completely different than the previous arcs in terms of that. And I feel like I don't really have a resolution for that or like what that means exactly yet. Because Nadeko is just such an enigma. And it's, because she won't tell us anything. Because her problem is not telling people things. So, man, that was a really good arc. I mean, I feel like this was my favorite episode so far. Which might be crazy, but I think my favorite single episode so far, I think it has been this one. So, I keep track, I guess. But let's go back and read these real quick. Snake, common name for Class Reptilia, blah 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 blah. Their features are cylindrical long bodies with scales covering them, having lots of vertebral discs, they can roll their body freely. Vampire, cat, crab, snail, monkey, and now snake. Aside from vampires, the snake has the worst image of all. Yeah, that's what. Oh man, that's what I was saying during the discussion. Yeah, it gives a sense of ominosity. Indeed, it feels like a symbol of ominosity. Yeah, its eeriness can't be compared with cats, crabs, snails, or monkeys. Literally, exactly what I was saying. I know. No, that impression is correct, Aragi. For a long time, snakes have been considered as such very often. Although, on the other hand, they are often considered sacred, and the snake cults appear in large numbers. That's quite a common thing almost anywhere in the world. Both sacred and evil symbol, that's what the snake is. Come to think of it, my notion of snakes is completely negative, and I just can't understand those snake cults. The most harmless thing I can remember is sushi noko? I don't know what that means. Well, my attitude towards snakes is not rational. I just consider them to be scary. I get chills just by seeing them. Well, they do have a strange form for a land animal. They're like fish swimming on the earth, being so unusual, there's no helping that they're considered odd. Is Nautico like a fish swimming on the earth? Maybe. Maybe she is. Should be one more there, right? Moreover, snakes have abnormal power to survive. They don't die even if you kill them. Hmm. I have to think about some of those, I think. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's my favorite episode so far. So, man, I these discussions have been bad. I just keep rambling about stuff and it's so disorganized. I really gotta like, I don't know, because I don't just want to go through the entire discussion like twice or something and like form my thoughts because it's like it's really hard to form my thoughts outside of just going through the episode. So I guess I just keep doing it like this, but I don't know. Um, okay, well, that was a very good episode and a very good arc, very different than the previous ones, and much more like difficult to comprehend almost. But I feel like I'm satisfied for the most part because I feel like a lot of the stuff I'm not satisfied on is it. The story is doing it to me on purpose. So yeah, I don't know. If you guys enjoyed, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Subscribe maybe. I want to try and hit 100 subs. We're at like 70 something. You know, we're getting there. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.